Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Bilawal Sidhu. I'm a creative technologist and the host of the TED AI Show. And today I have the distinct pleasure of sitting down with the man, the myth, the legend, Vinod Khosla. How are you doing today?
It's great to be here.
So you gave a TED Talk this past April. You made 12 predictions about the future, or plausible futures as you described them. Let's go into them in detail, shall we?
Sure.
So we talked about this world where expertise is nearly free. AI art is obviously very popular recently, and a quote that's been going exceedingly viral on social media is something to the effect of, hey, I actually want AI to do my laundry and my dishes so I can do the art and not the other way around. Any thoughts or reactions to that?
Well, just like AI, expertise will be free.
Yeah.
I think labor will be near free. We have millions, maybe billions of people working in human labor, work a GM assembly line on a robotic assembly line 8 hours a day for 30 years in a row doing the same thing. That's not a job. That's servitude. And the same is true of farm workers and many other jobs. So bipedal robots or some other form of robot will be able to do all these tasks because they won't need programming. So far, robots have needed programming. In the future, robots will be learning machines and will learn to do all these things. And then we can let them do the hard labor, the stuff that humans don't need to do, but have to do because there's no other way to make a living. So labor will be near free, and we're just starting the journey towards the equivalent of the LLM, foundation models for robotics. That's just starting, and I think we'll start to see a radical change within 5 years. Maybe sooner, maybe take a little bit longer. The exact timing is very hard to predict. And they will be able to do everything from household chores to assembly line work, to farm work, to working in coal mines or wherever. I hope we don't have any coal mines left. But they'll be able to do a lot of work. And we should come back and talk about where will people get an income. It's definitely an important topic. But let's go to art first.
Sure.
Almost certainly, you'll still have a Taylor Swift and you'll still have Swifties. That's not music, it's a phenomena. And humans love phenomena. They are fans of phenomena. And that'll still be there. But if I want a peaceful music for the way my brain works, you'll have that level of extreme customization on the music I want to listen to for the mood I want to be in. If I'm about to run a 100-meter dash at the Olympics, boy, I want different music than if I want to relax just before going to bed. So very customized music and entertainment will be possible. And then there'll be a large domain of things which humans and AI create together. Almost certainly, AI will be creative. People have a misperception that AI will do the same repeated thing. In fact, we know we can have AI models tuned to be much more creative. Then they hallucinate a lot, but so do great writers.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing in the right circumstance, bad thing in the wrong circumstance. We'll be able to control all these things. But whether it's AI alone, AI plus humans, it'll be much more creative, much broader range of content, whether it's great fiction, whether it's great music, great movie. I'm pretty excited about what's possible, and I think most views on this are very Luddite.
I feel like, I want to paint a picture, a bit of the dichotomy that people feel, and maybe the Luddite point of view here, and perhaps the acceleration maximalist, or whatever the trendiest new term for, accelerate or die is. But the fundamental tension that people seem to experience here is on one hand, it sounds really exciting that I've got this Spotify, kind of experience that's making generative music on the fly. Maybe I've got my next gen Apple AirPods in. It's coarsely sensing my mental state and am I in a focus mood right now? My relaxation, am I pumping iron in the gym? And sort of you get this contextualized playlist. It sounds awesome. Similarly, you could also imagine a future of like, a TikTok style algorithm where it's just fully generative video with one objective function to increase your watch time. Like it'll be like digital crack. It's the closest thing to a digital drug that we could create. So on one hand, like it sounds like these things would be cool if we own the objective functions. On the other hand, it sounds like it's like servitude to the machine. Like we won't be able to do anything without it. How do you think about that tension?
I think that's a choice we humans will make.
Yeah.
I call TikTok programmable fentanyl. Fentanyl comes from China, programmable fentanyl comes from China. No question about it. And Facebook has learned how to change the shade of blue so you are more likely to crack. So these algorithms can crack the human brain code. They can make you do things that you didn't intend to do.
Yeah.
And I think we need policy there to severely restrict what can't be done. But I think AI, today, everything belongs to the marketeers who can program your brain to do things it didn't intend to do. Buy something, click on something, listen to something. Yep. I think every human being, and this is my dream startup, has a personal agent who's their defense against all marketeers. It's easy to empower humans to fight these algorithms and bots by having their own AI filter it.
Totally.
And do what you would intend to do over the longer term. In some ways, humans have succumbed to immediate rewards that they regret over, say, a longer period of time.
Very true.
Over a month, you eat this great ice cream and you're just programmed to eat it. And then an hour later, like, I wish I hadn't eaten that ice cream.
Yeah.
And I think very personal advisors to fight the marketeers will be very possible. In fact, it's a great startup opportunity for some entrepreneur out there. Nobody that I know is doing this today. So empowering humans will be important, but policy will make a big difference too. And I think policy will have to play a much larger role.
I love your point about using AI as sort of that defensive layer to sort of make sense of the chaos of the world. Because the other criticism, especially from artists that comes up with generative AI, is people call it, AI slop. Sort of the idea being, I'll build on your ice cream analogy. It's like, it's kind of like McDonald's, it tastes good, but it's not good for you, or it's not enriching to your soul in a way. And sort of the idea being, all these social platforms are being flooded with this sort of AI slop in quotes. And maybe what we need is actually, an intermediary layer that can go look at all my feeds and show me the best content across platforms that I care about.
A human's representative will be entirely possible for all 7 or 8 billion humans on this planet, right? And so, no question, that's very possible and likely to happen. But I want to make a comment about AI slop. That's in the eyes of a Luddite artist who can't imagine the future. I still remember when my daughter was in 7th grade, she did digital art. That was a long time ago. And the art teacher decided it wasn't art if it was not with paint and paper.
Yeah, Photoshop wasn't considered art. Yeah, this is true.
And digital cameras, when the Nikon 1 megapixel camera came out, I heard the same comment.
Oh, yeah.
So some people use these things as a tool to expand their creativity, and others just fight it. And we saw that in cameras, we saw it in art, we will see it in music. Much more will be possible. And clearly, no artist, no musician will be able to give me a custom song for my brain and the mood I want to be in today or this weekend. Let me go a bit further. I may even take a license to Grimes' voice and be able to compose my own song for my own need using her voice or somebody else's voice, my favorite. So I think much more will be possible, much more range of products will be possible, and it should be judged by the consumer, the end consumer, not by I hate the idea of art critics because they tell you what art is, and not, hey, this human likes this piece and this other human likes this other piece, and let's not judge their taste.
Well, I like to joke that the disparity between the Rotten Tomatoes or the, official critic review versus the IMDb, the community review, that delta and disparity has only been growing.
So when you have the expert's view, I tend to say, I don't want to see that movie. And when the general audience view is high, hey, I may want to see it. And then I want to match it to what kinds of things I like or which subgroup of people like it.
Sure.
And people, so I do think much more is going to be possible.
So let's assume that this generative AI technology, the ability to create content across modalities, is going to be a huge force multiplier. Creatives are going to be able to tell stories, make movies, games, experiences that would have never been possible with the traditional green lighting process. But doesn't this come down to supply and demand too? So in other words, where's the money, honey? Let's talk about that now. What happens in that world where I'm getting Grimes on demand in my earbud? Grimes is already getting like pennies on the dollar for every Spotify stream. In this future of such abundance, how are creatives going to make money?
Well, let's talk about creatives, and let's talk about the people who are going to consume that creative.
Sure.
Creatives is a much easier task. If they're really creative, they will create demand for me mixing Grimes songs myself for me, or my AI mixing it for me for what I like with the elements that I like from Grimes or somebody else. That will happen. I think creatives will have a large role, and we all as humans like heroes, right? There's certain human tendencies that are going to stay. We love heroes, we love competition, we love status, all those things. Humans will be humans, and we'll cater to those needs. And that's okay. In fact, that'll be life, much more catered to what humans want, not what they have to do, even if they don't want to do it. So that's one element. But we will have so much abundance, enough experts for free or near free, enough music and entertainment. It's hard to imagine what happens to the economy. Current measures of GDP will just be wrong. We won't use GDP for measurement. It's a silly measure anyway.
Yeah.
If there's a billion cell phones on the planet, each as powerful as a $15 million Crave from 25 years ago, we call it a reduction in GDP. Because instead of 15 million, it costs $500.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So these measures will become so outdated. We'll have to look at new measures of human consumption, human desires and wants and needs, much more so than old measures of economy. In fact, 2016, I wrote a blog saying, I think it was in Fortune, maybe it was in Forbes. I said, AI will cause great abundance, great GDP growth, great productivity growth, and increasing income inequality. And we'll come back to that topic. But all the traditional metrics that an economist measures will look awesome, but that doesn't mean we have a better society if the distribution isn't good, the distribution of wealth and benefits of these technologies. So back again, this is probably the single largest role policy will play and government will play. We may, in fact, get to a much more, we will be able to have a much more equal society if we allow it to happen. And that'll be a policy question, but good news, in democracies, capitalism is by permission of democracy. And so hopefully, democracy will revoke the things that aren't working for the majority of the people.
I mean, there is still one fear that remains, especially in the minds of creators. And honestly, even now, developers and engineers, as they see the steady clip at which this technology is advancing, it's sort of the classical fear of irrelevance. But even if I leave that to a side, you talked about Swiftie, like Taylor Swift is a phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And every time there is a new platform, there seems to be a bunch of creatives that sort of become like the defining creators.
Like TikTok?
Totally. Or Mr. Beast for YouTube, right? Like has basically turned it into, like exemplifies what YouTube can be. But at the same time, I'm also seeing a weird unbundling of the celebrity that's been happening in a sense that the aggregate, in a sense, the aggregate attention Tom Cruise got at one point, right? When I was a kid growing up and I was watching Top Gun or whatever, right? It's like, oh my God, Tom Cruise. Now there's like maybe 10,000 YouTubers that have the same amount of attention that a Tom Cruise used to get. Once you democratize things even further, it feels like breaking through that ceiling to become a Taylor Swift is going to get harder and harder and harder to break through the noise of just the sheer amount of creation happening. And that starts feeling like an exhausting treadmill to creators where they're just like, well, if like Vinod's putting out like one podcast a week, I got to do like 3 podcasts a week. And like, and it's like, it turns into this like arms race and race to the bottom.
And why? Because you want more ego and more followers, or because you want to make more money, and money may not matter as much if you have much more equality, because the world is so deflationary. We start to see a very different set of values. I hope with the help of policy, humans get to the point where, hey, I have more than enough money. Now, some people can say that, and I feel like I don't need to make any more money. I can do what I want. I can have my internal desires drive myself. I happen to be addicted to learning, so I'm always reading, and it's just my addiction. Hopefully, these are good addictions. Others have addiction to music or creating music as best as they can, or surfing as well as they can. Like there are many more endeavors
that are intrinsically motivated.
Not externally. Now, having a bigger house or a better car that's part of the status thing I talked about earlier. Humans will be humans and status will matter. But whether we need 100 celebrities only like Taylor Swift or 1 million like TikTokers who are experts in makeup or pick your favorite.
Makeup, music, and beyond.
It's hard to define, but I think we will, as human beings, get a choice. And we will determine that. And just because everything's not predictable doesn't mean it's bad. In fact, it's mostly good if it's driven by the choices of 7 or 8 billion humans.
This point that you're saying money may not matter is such a fascinating one to think about as this technology proliferates.
Well, why does money matter? It's because we don't have abundance.
Totally, yeah. In a world of abundance, like why do you care if you made like 250K or 450K or 1 million? You probably don't care.
I run into people all the time who say, hey, I'm done with trying to get a better title, a better job at my company. I'm getting off this treadmill. I'm going to go live in Montana and enjoy the outdoors because I enjoy that. And each person will have different things they enjoy. And some will compete in other ways. I'll compete in the 100-meter dash, or I'll compete in X Games or surfing. Like, I think humans will define what they themselves like, and the amount of diversity will increase. A 6-year-old, and this abundance may take 50 years, not 20 years, to happen. And so there's going to be a timeline to this that we should be cautious about. But my bet is 20 years from now, a 6-year-old won't enter school with the idea that, hey, study hard and you'll get a better job. They'll enter 6th grade or 5th grade or 1st grade, 6-year-old 1st grade probably, and say, hey, learn to explore as much as you can. Like that's a very different thing than get the best job in 15 years or 20 years.
Like learn to be a lifelong learner almost.
Lifelong learner or passion for something else. Explore, not one thing. Get a job, score good so you can get into a good college and then get a good job. It's a very debilitating kind of straitjacket to be in.
Oh, totally.
So I'm pretty excited about in 2044 when a 6-year-old is told, hey, explore.
Yeah. I mean, it's the definition of square peg, round hole. I mean, I feel like this, like I wanted to go make movies, but I studied computer science and business and ended up working in big tech.